for FAQ, frequently asked questions. In this segment, we try and bring you answers to some of the most pressing questions in election season. Much has been said about war-mongering for votes. Let's address this issue straight up. Do wars get votes? Recently, the Election Commission of India pulled up a lawmaker for using Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman on political posters. So is national security an election issue in India? Does war rhetoric swing polls in India? To know the answer, we must look at the record. History always gives perspective. Let's start with 1962, the Sino-Indian War. Did it help? It did not help the Congress. The party lost both vote and seat share in the elections that followed. 3 years later, India fought a war with Pakistan. India won that war, but that did not translate into electoral gains for the ruling Congress party. 6 years later, that story changed, and that's when India won the 1971 war against Pakistan. Bangladesh was liberated, and within months, Indira Gandhi won the 1971 general election by a landslide. The 1971 war ended with a strategic win for India. It was a win for the ruling party as well, and the Congress party, all that it lost in the 1962 and 1967 elections, was regained in 1971. Then came the Kargil conflict. The year was 1999. I'm sure many of you have clear memories of it. India's political landscape had seen major shifts by then. India won that war too, although technically they call it a conflict, not a war. Be that as it may, India and Pakistan fought in 1999. India won, and then the BJP returned to power. The Kargil war had made no difference to their tally. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was Prime Minister again. That takes care of wars. Now, what about those situations where India decided to not fight? The 2001 Parliament attack. The BJP government under Atal Bihari Vajpayee chose not to respond militarily. 3 years later, they lost the general election. The two may be totally unrelated. We cannot say for sure. The UPA government did the same in 2008. Mumbai was attacked on the 26th of November. The Manmohan Singh government did not fight back militarily. Less than a year later, they returned to power. Clearly, there is no template. The current government has experienced this firsthand. The 2016 surgical strikes were followed by the Uttar Pradesh election. The BJP won big, 300 plus seats, the party's biggest ever win in that state. But only a few months later, the BJP barely made it in Gujarat. Beyond India, the history of the world suggests that even the greatest victories on the battlefield cannot guarantee an election win. In 1945, Winston Churchill led the Great Britain to victory in the Second World War. But later that year, he suffered a massive defeat in the general election. The prolonged Great Depression cost Churchill his prime ministership. Something similar happened with George H.W. Bush, the senior Bush. He managed to secure a win in the 1991 war in Iraq, the Gulf War, as we know it. But a year later, he lost the presidential election. So war does not guarantee votes. Winning a war does not guarantee electoral wins. Yes, there is a strong sentiment. Yes, people rally behind the security forces. Yes, they feel deeply. They express it too, especially in the age of social media. But there is nothing to suggest that a war will influence their voting preference.